It's hard to imagine a time before burgers, but they've only existed like this for about 100 years. We're trying to cook our way through 1,600 years of burger history, from Roman street food to the most iconic burger of all time. Can a burger have no bun, be filled with fish guts, or even be tenderized under a warrior's saddle? We're trying to find out what a burger really is and how it went from this to this.
So our first stop on our historical tour of the mighty burger is in the 4th century AD, 1600 years ago. This recipe comes from a guy called Apicius. He wrote a journal for the Emperor Tiberius on his favourite food. And it's one of the earliest forms of cookbooks that we've got. And it's actually fully complete. You got a copy? Man, I don't sleep without it, you know? It starts with a classic Roman condiment, which comes from reducing grape juice. The thing about the Romans is they love their condiment. Garum, which is fermented fish guts.
How does this relate to burgers?
Unlike our burgers of today, they would probably have used pork. Pork was much more accessible to the lower classes, and even to the upper classes, it was still preferred as a form of protein. They would have hand minced this. This has been minced for us. And then they would have added in pine nuts, juniper, which I'll crush down. Pine nuts was something that was eaten by like the higher upper classes, so Apicius was basically cooking for them. There is a bit of Roman history that they were one of the first generations to use lead pipes. So they think that the reason they like such strong flavoured things like spices, fish gut juice, is because they actually eroded most of their taste buds.
How much garum?
I think you do it to taste.
It kind of tastes like decaying fish bone.
They would use the guts and they would use like pretty much everything, and they would probably obviously leave it out in the sun to ferment and decay. So it's obviously a lot more potent than what we would know as fish sauce. Okay, I'm going to add some of the black pepper and the juniper mix. It's obviously quite strong. We add some stale bread, and then what you do to cook the patty is you wrap it in little parcels in caul fat, basically intestine. It doesn't look like a modern burger, but I think the idea of mincing beef and putting it into patties is pretty universal. I think you can see why this is a starting point for the evolution of the modern day burger. Choice, this is not going to taste too bad though. I mean, it's pretty mad that, like, to be honest, it's still got recipes like this. This is actually what I studied at university.
What, burger making?
No, the Roman Empire. I studied classics at uni.
Hey, I'm sure your tutor would be proud.
Look at me now. These would have been served at street stands called thermopolia. So this was like the original fast food burger. They just didn't put in bread.
What do you reckon they did put it in?
In their gobs, mate. Oh, look at that sizzle. To be honest, I actually love caul fat because it gets really nice and crispy.
The Romans did actually have grills back in the day.
I think they probably would have used like a metal pan on a fire. Apparently in the book, you can actually use their peacock.
Peacock?
A peacock. You know, Tiberius was a renowned arsehole, apparently. He was the emperor at the time that Apicius was writing this book. So yeah, chucking a peacock in a burger, it's a bit more ostentatious, you know? You can't get them in the UK, legally.
What do you reckon they were shouting on the streets? Yeah, it's a peacock burger. Yeah, it's a peacock.
All right, so this is our reduced grape condiment syrup. Very, very sweet, very quite sticky.
Oh, that is interesting. Right.
Moment of truth.
This grape thing is intriguing me.
It's almost like a molassesy consistency.
Yeah, isn't it? Not that bad.
I really, really don't like that. How can you like that?
There's actually nothing wrong with it.
Oh, you are a sicko. Fish juniper.
Nice texture.
Weirdo.
Juniper is a bit of a strange spice.
It's such a strong flavour.
No, I think it relates to like, you know, almost like an adobo style thing.
I really didn't enjoy it at all, but like, I can see how it could be part of like the culture to eat it. Juniper burger with some reduced grape muck. Not my cup of tea. So the next place we're going is to Genghis Khan, the Mongol Empire. You gotta bear with me on this one. The most important thing about this food was that it fueled the Mongols. Story has it that they would leave these straps of lamb underneath their saddles and they'd be tenderized with the rider's arse as they barbarically rode across the plains and sacked every city that they had.
What would stop it like slipping out?
A very firm arse cheek. So we've beaten up our lamb, then we're just gonna dice it. So this is the only one that actually isn't cooked.
So not a burger.
Well, it's a patty. And it always refers to the patties that led. So it's actually what I'm referring to is more the shape and the fact that it's another type of diced meat.
What is a burger? I don't know. I mean, you can have pork burger, veggie burgers, mushroom burger. So it must be the fact that it's ground. Well then, but no, chicken burger's not ground, is it?
Well, when did a burger stop being a sandwich? That's the thing. All right, so here you have it.
So meat in a bowl.
A bit of salt, no pepper.
Well, it's made a horse sneeze.
That's a good one, mate.
So what? They would take it out from the saddle and then dice it on the roadside.
Yeah, nice and warm. Badass sword, or a big dagger. There we go. The burger of Genghis Khan. The Mongol Tartar patty.
Unapologetically raw.
Fueled the largest land empire that's ever been. There is actually a tribe called the Tartars, and the name for steak tartare comes from that tribe. The reason that we did this is it's the shape of it being a patty. It's all a round of beef or pork or lamb, cut into a certain shape. Some of them just cook them, whack them in a bit of bread.
I hear what you're saying, but I just think if it's not cooked, it doesn't really count. You can imagine it like, sun's out, you've got a sword on your back, going into war. Like, it feels lean and mean, doesn't it? Like,
you want to go, marauding. Okay, next we're headed to the court of Richard II, and we have this beautiful book, The Form of the Curie, probably the original cookbook in the UK, all written in Old English, so a little bit hard to understand. This is a recipe called rissoles, or rassoles, as they would have called it. Rassoles refers to the French term, which is basically to brown. This is, in my opinion, a precursor to the smashburger, using pork and also liver. So we're going to boil the pork first, and then we've got this pork liver as well, which we've already cooked. And we're going to dice it up, add in lots of different spices, because these guys loved all these mad, crazy spices that just entered the scene.
it's got the eggs here, it's going to grate them down. So I think by the looks of it, the egg is going to help to bind all that stuff together.
I've read quite a lot of recipes from these books, and it's a lot of different sort of like crazy spices that don't really match. So I wonder how much of it is just, I don't know how many people would just be eating this normally, do you know what I mean? All these spices, ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice, is very much because it was a status symbol for people like Richard II to be using these expensive exotic spices.
It's almost like got mince pie flavours. It's weird. It's like the old dishes. It's like coronation chicken and things like that. It's like, it was a bit like originally, like, is that going to go? So I take that pork out.
I think this is looking the least appetizing out of everything so far.
I'm excited. Porky.
I'm not quite convinced about this one. It's going to be very strange, I think.
I think this one is it's a dark horse. I think the thing is, I think the techniques are actually quite interesting. Like the binding it with an egg, the pork, a bit of liver, why not?
You would see in some recipes for burgers today, using a bit of egg. I'm going to add in the minced pork now. To be honest, I actually didn't think it would hold together, but just add a tiny little bit of raw egg
You
into
have
it.
little faith.
So we're going to coat this with egg and then flour, and then we're just going to fry it in a bit of beef tallow, which is more traditional. So I'm just not sure it's going to hold up in this beef fat, so we'll find out. I'm going to make some small little... it's obviously got no structural integrity like a normal burger, so I don't see how this is going to work. I think we might have to shallow fry it in beef fat instead, but we'll see. Here goes nothing.
Cut the crispy boys coming up.
Hey, they're actually looking pretty damn good. I'm surprised they're held together. And that's what you want. I want that crust on the outside. That's why they're called rissoles. It looks like a protein ball. Little tiny minced beef spiced burger balls fit for a king.
The spices are really, really weird.
It's strange having those. It's like a mince pie, but without any of the sweetness.
This is the feels like something if I went abroad to a street market at night time and you had some, you have some of the food and you're like, what is that? Do I like it? Do I not? You don't really know what it is.
I do think it makes sense to have it as part of the evolution of the burger. It's a convenient thing with minced meat that you would eat on the go.
It gets almost better the more you eat it.
To be honest, it's actually quite tasty. It's like the crisp that you would get on a freshly plantured beef patty.
So next up on our quest, we're going to find out the true origin of the word hamburger.
This is getting exciting because we're getting to the actual modern day burger. So this is a Hamburg fricadelle. So this is a very common dish that would have been present in Hamburg around the 17th, 18th century. So burgers, obviously hamburger, the name, comes from Hamburg in Germany. And this was a very common dish eaten there. And it's the precursor to a modern burger. And settlers from Germany ultimately are responsible for bringing the burger to America. And this is the first version.
Now, if you'd asked me like before I knew this information that the burger originally came from Germany, did anyone else know that?
Clues in the name. I think it's another example of a major empire using the vessel of a meat patty or burger to fuel the expansion to other lands, just like the Mongols, just like the Romans. So this is importantly before the mincer. So everything would have still been hand chopped and hand minced.
What empire was Germany? Was Germany under its own rule then?
Prussian Empire. During this time, you've got Britain, France, Spain, everyone basically competing for different places. So the basic principle, this is chuck beef that we're just dicing up, and they would have kept it pretty simple with some diced white onion and some breadcrumbs.
Like homemade burger style now. Get it in there, sunshine.
Hand chopped mince goes in.
Bit of minced white onion.
Salt.
And a few breadcrumbs.
Absolute flavour hat. Grated butter in there, into the mix. Different variations of this recipe started popping up in America from the 1700s all the way to the 1900s.
Those Americans sitting on the port in New York being like, what on earth are these Germans eating? Quarter pounder, no cheese.
I mean, this is looking pretty damn similar to a traditional burger. But important to note that they called it the Hamburg steak. And this was a traditional dish, which you can see is not too far away from a traditional hamburger.
The first one that's used beef as well.
Actually, that's true, yeah. That smells amazing. And you can see like the onions are in there. That's not too dissimilar to that style of burger where you smash the onions in.
It's a butter in my burger.
So this recipe is actually recorded first in Hannah Glass's cookbook, The Art of Cookery, which is in 1758. In that book, it refers to this dish as the Hamburg sausage. And importantly, what she would do is she would roast it off hard and then serve it on a little bit of toast. So almost like an open burger sandwich. So we're getting close now to what we would actually traditionally recognize as a proper hamburger. Look at that in all its glory. Bosh, the Hamburg steak. Getting pretty damn close to a burger, I'd say. It looks great. It's got the moist maker on the bottom as well.
I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, am I thrilled to try it? No, because I know what it's going to taste like.
That butter makes it. It's so delicious. And all the onion running through it is actually so tasty. And that little slice of bread just soaks up all that juice.
We are getting there.
This is probably the most controversial leap. This is the invention of the first modern day hamburger by Hamburger Charlie Nagreen, 1880. What really important things happened in the 19th century is that we invented industrialized mincing.
Everyone's mincing around, making a hamburger.
Yeah, and it was generally speaking, it was like very accessible factory food. And there we have it, in the Midwest, Wisconsin. Charlie Hamburger came along and put 2 slices of bread on 1 patty. So Charlie was in Wisconsin, and at the time there was lots of traveling fairs going around. Charlie was actually originally selling meatballs.
But everyone couldn't carry them because they're too hot, so they were going,
Hot potato. Flattened them down, 2 pieces of bread. The hamburger is born. At one point, Charlie was knocking out 150 pounds of patties per day.
Charlie flattened his burgers slightly, not smashburger level, but just enough so that the meat was slightly more portable.
So importantly on this one, we're not toasting the bread. Just 2 plain bits of bread. Easy peasy. Good old Charlie's legacy didn't end here. He's the first man to put these bad boys inside. As the rhyme goes, hamburger, hamburger, hamburger hot, onions in the middle, pickle on top, makes a mouth go flippity flop.
That's an interesting rhyme.
Cheers, mate. He was making these bad boys for 65 years, so he obviously knew something. Simple, graceful elegance. Charlie Nagreen's, the original cross-section cut through. Oh.
Ooh, the white bread is, I wonder what bread they were using. It actually does taste a little bit like a McDonald's.
Yeah. I mean, it's very similar in terms of taste profile.
Because the meat's quite dry but crispy. It is what it is.
It's lacking the cheese.
At least now we've got a vessel to hold the burger. Good effort, Charlie.
Next, we're headed to Wichita, 1921, for the launch of the world-renowned White Castle slider. It's essentially a square rather than a round, so slightly different to our modern burger. But important to note, this is the original fast food burger. still in operation today.
Well, pre-Macca.
Yeah, and they have a very specific way of doing things, which is almost like a religion in the Midwest. Dehydrated onion soup powder. That's the basis to our seasoning of our ground beef. A little bit of salt, but you can see the evolution here between the Charlie's Burger and this as a fast food giant. Catchphrase of White Castle at the time was buy 'em by the sack. So these were meant to be produced fast, and they refined probably the first like proper, I would say, high volume technique to make burgers. They also had these little things called sliders. Sliders is still a term used today. It's essentially a mini bun that's going to be heated up through the steam of the onions and the cooking of the beef. And importantly, they would cook them sort of 6 at a time. Okay, so this is that kind of signature White Castle shape. So we've got 5 holes to let the steam come through. Not too big, because the sliders themselves aren't too big either. Little onion flakes poking out of there. I do think it's gonna be delicious. Okay, so we're gonna go on first with a nice layer of onions. So what we wanna do is, don't want the plancha too hot, because we're gonna basically steam the bun and the burger and the onions at the same time. Okay, so as soon as the burgers go on, bottom of the burger goes onto the burger too when it's raw. Top goes on top of the bottom, and this essentially just starts to steam as the burger cooks all the way through. Cheese just goes on cold at the end. Curveball. But this is proper mental. They're still nicely cooked, they're just steamed all the way through, which is really cool. The meat's kind of like protected by the layer of bun, and it steams it really nicely as it cooks all the way through. You don't get a huge amount of colour on the burger, but to be quite honest, I don't think it matters too much. It's more of like a celebration of grease and onion steam. Finish your White Castle sliders with mustard and a pickle. The first proper burger we've had all day. Steamy, oniony, mustardy delight. Yeah. I can't wait for this one. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's kind of like plain, which I kind of like. It's not too dirty.
Very soft, like really, really succulent.
Quite a plain burger, which is quite nice.
Right. I think the whole thing is, obviously there's a bit of science to it, but I'm not sure how much difference it makes. I really like the way that you left that raw on the bottom. So the bottom bun is incredibly moist.
I don't think you miss the caramelization. But I think as a technique for how they do it, I mean, it's probably like more, imagine if they're cooking fucking 500 at a time. Like you're just going off, on, off. I think it works from that perspective.
To be honest, look how juicy that is. I can see how this completely changed the burger game and made way for all of the burgers. And I can see why White Castle is still open. And the reason it's called sliders is because it slides down your throat. I could eat about 15 of these.
Now, moving on to another fast food chain, the most iconic burger of all time.
White Castle paved the way for basically fast food joints, but it wasn't until Richard and Maurice McDonald that we had the foundation of the biggest fast food chain of all time. Ray Kroc famously ripped them off, took it worldwide, and the McDonald's that we love and know today was kind of born. It wasn't until Jim Delegati, one of the stakeholders in one of the Midwest branches, made a double-decker burger, originally called that. The Big Mac was born. McDonald's definitely had the market share, but they were trying to expand to compete with people like Wendy's and other chains, and they came up with this. Now, 550 million have been sold every year. One is consumed every 17 seconds. The consensus is it was actually stolen, like a lot of the McDonald's stuff, from the big boy hamburger chain. The most important thing about the burger was actually the sauce. And controversially, people think it's got ketchup in it, but it's not. It's got mayonnaise, Heinz sweet relish, gives it the sweetness and the chunks, paprika, a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, and then the secret ingredient in the McDonald's Big Mac sauce, Dijon mustard, not American mustard. Then we've got shredded sliceberg lettuce. We've got a few house pickles, some American cheese to boot. Big Mac sauce, lettuce, onions. It's been a while. I don't normally go for a Big Mac. If you know the exact building criteria.
When you try and recreate it to the best of your ability, it's never as good as when you have it there. Even when it looks better, you put all that love into the sauce, it's just not the same as having a Big Mac in Mackey's. I don't know what they do to it.
Next, we're heading to Bray with our old favourite, Heston Blumenthal, who in 2007 said he created scientifically the perfect burger.
It really is my perfect hamburger.
We're going to start off with the sauce, which he makes a tomato concentrate. So here we have all of the insides of a tomato. They've been blended up, and we're going to pass it through a sieve and basically reduce the liquid.
He did a lot of explicit research into the perfect meat to use. And essentially what he came up with was short rib, 30-day aged, and also chuck and brisket in a specific ratio.
Cheese sauce. Now this is a strange recipe. So we're going to go with half a bottle of brandy. We're going to infuse it with some thyme and some garlic. So after 10 minutes, we're going to remove the garlic, the thyme. Now we're going to add our sodium citrate. We have some grated comté and just slowly mix off the heat to melt it until we get a fondue-like consistency.
It's almost like a fondue on top of the burger. And when that heat from the patty hits it, it'll instantly start melting to make a really beautiful, cheesy fondue.
We're going to set that over. I'm impressed with this.
Refrigerate this until it's completely set, and then this is ready to melt onto our burgers.
So our tomato concentrate is reduced down. Pour it out, just enough for one burger.
Tell you what, you don't get much, do you? It's 5 tomatoes, eh? Okay, so next part is all about the beef. 2 parts chuck, 1 part brisket, and 1 part short rib. So lots of different textures and different parts of the animal there. And really important the way that he minces it. So if you imagine when you mince the meat, you've got all these perfect little strands. And what he really pioneered is the fact that you need to keep these strands all together. And you lay them cross-section by cross-section. As the meat goes through the mincer, you perfectly lay it down in the strands that it's coming out of the slicer. And this is going to give you, in theory, the perfect bite to the burger. Okay, so you can imagine now we've got all of these strands of meat running perfectly all the way through the burger, but we need to compact them together. So we're going to roll it, give it as much tension as possible, whilst trying to get that perfect burger shape that we want. And then this will chill down until it's slightly set, and we can cut our perfect patties out of there. We're going to go cross section, nice sharp knife, lots of different layers. We can even see the different types of meat in there as well. Just going to press it down lightly.
I think it's not really achievable on scale, is it though? You couldn't smash it out, could you?
Now, he goes into quite a lot of detail about not making the burger too thick and fat, because there's a perfect quantity that you can fit in your mouth at the same time without the bun breaking apart. And he did quite a lot of research on that. So this is a thin bun, seeded for extra texture.
We've got some thinly sliced white onion, and we're just going to blanch it for about 10 to 20 seconds. Just going to ice it down. We still want it to have a nice crunch.
So nice and hot. Trying to get a really nice crust on the burger. Because it's got absolutely nothing binding it together. I can't understand why it's not going to sort of be a little bit brittle. We're going to toast our bun for 30 seconds, no more. Nice and golden.
So we're going to put the cheese slices onto the burger bun.
So we've taken our patty off. It's got a really nice colour on it.
So we've got French cheese mustard, mayonnaise. Apparently he has it all separate.
Madness.
Mayonnaise, tomato concentrate, the Gherkinator 2000, thickly sliced tomatoes, patty. Then we're going our mix of onion and lettuce.
There's a lot of salad in this burger.
That does look good.
That does look nice. It's definitely the juiciest of all. It's not as good as the others. Look, this is some people's perfect burger, without a doubt. It's banging, meat's amazing, flavours are great. For me, if you just had the bun, the tomato concentrate, the mayo, and the patty and the cheese, that would be an absolute winner. That would have taken it #1. All the salad, tomatoes, the technique of doing the meat like that is genuinely genius, because it does just fall away in your mouth. What I want to see is, can the new phase of burgers that sweep the nation knock it from the post of being the perfect burger?
We'll soon find out.
Everyone seems to want a tiny thin crust on their burger these days.
So the next burger, highlighting the 2020s, is the smashburger. Flattening down that meat, getting a really thin glass-like patty, maximising the surface area and the Maillard reaction.
I'm just going to make a really simple sauce. Very similar to the Big Mac sauce. A little bit of Frenchies, touch of mayo,
So you can see the meat is now cooking. You've got this beautiful crust developing. So he's pretty much cooking it all the way on one side. Just gonna make sure our bun is nice and toasted before we flip over the patties. Cheese goes on. So we're gonna double stack our patties.
Go on with our little burger sauce. Just French cheese, a little bit of ketchup, sweet relish, and a bit of mayonnaise.
Burger goes on.
There we have it. Pickles, super simple, burger sauce, cheese, and the smashed patty. Let's have a look at that cross section. Oh!
Could be the best one yet.
Yeah, it's not as juicy as some of the other ones. The texture's a bit different, but ultimately the depth of flavour on that.
You can feel everything amalgamating together and it works as a really cohesive, like, fast food thing.
To speak like an American, tomato, tomato. Everyone's different. But for me, that is delicious. Do I think it's way better than the White Castle? No, I don't. I think White Castle's also got its merits too. Different strokes for different folks. The big question is this the purest form of burger, or what's to come next?
We started off in ancient Rome, went to the Mongol territories, medieval Britain, smashburger. Where the fuck else could it go?
I think every culture and empire has had some form of minced patty.
We've minced lamb, we've minced pork, beef. What else are we gonna fucking mince? We'll see you in 10 years to find out what is the next evolution of burger. Thanks for watching.
Flavour Boys out.